श्रीमान साकेत गोखले.
धन्यवाद उपसभापती महोदया, आपण आज मला बोलण्याची संधी दिली त्यासाठी आपले खूप खूप आभार. I am very grateful to my party, All India Trinamool Congress, and my leaders Mamata Banerjee and Abhishek Banerjee for giving me a chance to speak on the appropriation bill today. Madam, when people watch us on TV, they hear this discussion that appropriation bill, supplementary grants. A lot of times people get a little confused. They don't understand what exactly it is that we are discussing. So the benefit of people, I would like to start by explaining that supplementary grants refer to additional funds sought by the government during the financial year when the amount originally approved by the parliament in the budget is found to be insufficient. In this appropriation bill, Mantri ji, thoda dheere se, Mandaviya ji, thoda. With this bill, the government is asking for 4.13 lakh crores in supplementary demands. Madam, this means that the government's own budget, which they presented last year, was off by nearly 8% of the total expenditure. 8% off. That's what they're asking in the supplementary demand. This bill is an extraordinary admission that the finance minister either cannot forecast expenditure or the budget presented to parliament was a deliberate fiction. In this supplementary demands, they've claimed that there are savings of 80,000 crores from various ministries that fund the technical supplementary means that those ministries couldn't spend in the allocated budgets. Madam, the fundamental rule of governance is that savings in government spending is not efficiency. Rather, it shows a failure to implement. The government is not a corporate that is supposed to say at the end of the year that, look, this is how much money we have saved. At the end of the day, people pay taxes to the government to fund expenditure. When the government claims to save money, it means that it is collecting more tax from people than it is spending on people's welfare. Every rupee saved, as it is claimed in this appropriation bill, means there is a road that has not been built, a weapon that has not been procured, a hospital that has not been funded. The government cut 1 lakh crores from the actual budget, from the budget estimate to the revised estimate, and then they congratulate themselves for maintaining the fiscal deficit. Madam, let's start with the Economic Stabilization Fund. So in this bill, the government has created a rupees 1 lakh crore Economic Stabilization Fund through a simple inter-account transfer under the Department of Economic Affairs. The funny thing about this fund, madam, the Economic Stabilization Fund, there is no legislation governing it. There are no rules on when it can be drawn, by whom or for what purpose. There is no oversight mechanism from Parliament for this Economic Stabilization Fund of 1 lakh crore rupees. The Finance Minister's justification is, and I quote her, in anticipation of what cannot be anticipated, we are coming up with the Economic Stabilization Fund. What cannot be anticipated means the Finance Minister, instead of saying it directly, is saying that the West Asia-Iran conflict caught the government unprepared, 11 years in power, but they did not anticipate this. Now some questions that I hope the Finance Minister will address about the Economic Stabilization Fund. What is the legal framework governing this fund? Under what statute was it created? Who decides when and how the fund is deployed? The other question, madam, is how different is this fund from the existing contingency fund of India, which has 30,000 crore rupees, and that is actually meant for emergency spending. So why are you creating a parallel fund here? This fund has no legislation, no parliamentary oversight. This is the government writing a blank check for itself. Madam, interestingly, this Economic Stabilization Fund in this bill of 1 crore reminds me of the dubious PM CARES Fund that was created during the COVID pandemic. Roughly about 32,000 crores were collected from the people, and then when it was time for this fund to start giving an account, the government surprisingly claimed in the court that this is a private fund. This is a fund that uses the national emblem of India, is in the Prime Minister's name, but when it came time to disclose their expenditure, they said it's a private fund. Recently, the PMO apparently even issued a circular to Parliament saying that questions by even MPs on the PM CARES Fund will not be tolerated. So this government is an expert at creating non-transparent funds, opaque funds whose activities are hidden from the public. The question is this Economic Stabilization Fund of 1 lakh crore going to become another PM CARES Fund with no oversight and no accountability? Madam, the impact of the West Asia-Iran crisis can be seen in this appropriation bill. Today, just so that people know the facts, crude oil is at $119 a barrel. The government's fertilizer subsidy bill has gone up by 27% in this bill. because fertilizers require a lot of imports that come from the Middle Eastern countries. There is an LPG shortage across the country. Let's at least finally call a spade a spade. The rupee has fallen to a historic low of 92 rupees per dollar. Remember, we are an import-dependent nation. We import our oil, and now the rupee has fallen to the lowest ever, which is 92. Today, it has been tragically exposed that this government has no energy security policy. So in this bill, the government has made a demand for nearly 20,000 crores in additional fertilizer subsidies. The West Asia crisis has predictably resulted in a massive hike in fertilizer prices. This shows that the Indian agrarian economy remains highly vulnerable to global supply chain shocks. With Gulf countries accounting for approximately 75% of India's urea imports and Saudi Arabia serving as the primary source for DAP imports, the government's inability to hedge against changes in commodity prices is going to affect the farmer on the ground. Beyond the macroeconomic cost, madam, there's also microeconomic cost. This government is asking for an additional funding of 20,000 crores for fertilizer subsidy. But what is actually happening in the fertilizer market? Today, there is a concept of forced tagging and black marketing which is going on. When a farmer goes to buy their quota of subsidized fertilizers, they are forced by dealers to purchase some additional chemicals and additional things in order to just get their subsidized fertilizer quota. I'm not saying this. In last year, 1 year, 52 FIRs were lodged for black marketing of fertilizers in Uttar Pradesh, double-engine government. So instead of fixing the system, the government is now using this bill to pump almost 20,000 crores of extra money into a fertilizer system that is full of black marketing and leakages. Madam, the current LPG crisis has exposed the PM Ujjwala Yojana, which claims to provide subsidized gas cylinders. If LPG has become expensive, it is natural that the government would need additional funds to pay for the subsidy. Very strangely, if you go through this appropriation bill, despite the international shortage of LPG and the Iran crisis, the government has not demanded any additional funding for the Ujjwala Yojana. LPG shortage hai, prices are going up, but nothing extra demanded for Ujjwala Yojana. So therefore, it is very important that people realize the truth behind the PM Ujjwala Yojana. Madam, a CAG report found that the average annual refill consumption was only 3 cylinders per household under the Ujjwala Yojana. The standard for an average household is they take 9 cylinders. Under Ujjwala, people are only taking 3 cylinders. Therefore, PM Ujjwala households are using only 38% of the required LPG need of the household. So what is happening for the remaining 62% of the times? They've gone back to using the chula. This government has itself admitted in Parliament that 1.2 crore beneficiaries have not taken a refill after their first free cylinder. Today, instead of truthfully briefing the nation about the reality of the LPG crisis, this government is shamefully spreading propaganda in the media saying, though LPG shortage, but no one's saying that on the record. It's all sources. Unnamed sources speaking for the government saying, Sab changa si, there is no LPG shortage. But there is a very curious thing that happened, madam. Last week, the government hiked domestic LPG cylinder prices by 60 rupees. Now, we're all politicians here. It is a pretty accepted fact that when 4 major states are going into elections, no government has the courage to hike LPG prices. Why do you do it? You only do it because you have absolutely no other option left. So, it is clear that there is an LPG crisis. Otherwise, this government would not have increased prices by 60 rupees before 4 crucial elections, where they're going to lose, by the way, but that's a story for another day. Manrega, let's talk about that. In this appropriation bill, the government is seeking an additional 30,000 crores, madam. What is the purpose? To clear Manrega dues up to 31st March. That is the stated purpose. This means that workers who worked all year round, 100 days toiling in the fields, have not received their wages under Manrega. This appropriation bill just goes on to show how shoddily they've been treating Manrega. Why? Because they wanted to drop Mahatma Gandhi's name, bring in a new bill, and a new act, and a new act in which there is absolutely nothing that is of benefit to rural population. The budget allocation for Manrega has been stagnant for the last several years at 86,000 crore. After COVID, we saw rural duress increasing, but Manrega budget was never increased. Average work days per household were just 44, as opposed to the guaranteed 100. Now they're claiming 125 days will be provided under the new bill. They've not even been providing 100 days, madam, 44 days per household. Nearly 1 crore workers who demanded work under Manrega last year were not able to get it. Shockingly, only 30% of workers' wages are credited in the legally mandated 15 days. The average wage earned by a worker last year under Manrega was only 3,800 crore rupees. Madam, my own state of West Bengal has pending dues of 52,000 crores under Manrega, which the union government stopped after the BJP lost the 2021 assembly elections. It has been 5 years now because now we are going into the 2026 assembly elections. Despite the union government withholding Bengal's legitimate dues, our Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee ensured that Manrega workers are paid from the state treasury to ensure that poor workers who labored for 100 days are not deprived of their wages. Madam, in 2019, the people of Bengal gave 18 Lok Sabha MPs to the BJP. Despite that, not a single BJP MP, including their 2 union ministers, have asked the union government to clear Bengal's Manrega dues. Because the union government deprived Bengal, in 2024, the BJP's tally in the Lok Sabha reduced to 12 seats. Like seasonal migratory birds, PM Modi and Home Minister Amit Shah have recently started visiting Bengal again to campaign for elections. That's the only time they remember Bengal. Interestingly, in not a single speech of Mr. Modi or Mr. Shah have they said a word about the pending Manrega dues of West Bengal. Therefore, Madam, clearly the BJP has not learned their lesson after the whopping they got in the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. The silence of the Prime Minister and Home Minister on the deprivation of people of Bengal will give them an even nastier surprise in the upcoming elections. Madam, the Election Commission, interestingly in a very small line, this appropriation bill makes an additional demand of 10 crores for the Election Commission of India. What is the purpose, Madam, of this 7 crores? It's been described as additional funding for IT infrastructure. The Finance Minister needs in a reply to be clear about what this IT infrastructure funding of 7 crores for the Election Commission means. Because during the recent SIR process in West Bengal, we saw AI software was being used to delete legitimate voters. Madam, today, a shocking 1.3 crore voters were marked as logical discrepancies using AI software in my state of West Bengal. Today, even after election dates have been declared, over 60 lakh voters in Bengal are under adjudication. They still don't know whether they will get a chance to vote in the upcoming elections. Madam, the bias against West Bengal is very clear. When just a few hours after the elections are announced, the Chief Secretary, the first woman Chief Secretary of West Bengal, she is transferred. The DGP is transferred. The Home Secretary is transferred. The police commissioners are transferred. This shows how the entire machinery is being used with everybody on one side and Mamata Banerjee, Abhishek Banerjee and Trinamool Congress on the other side, but they have the people of West Bengal standing with them, which this government forgets. Madam, when we talk about additional funding in this appropriation bill, there is something that should concern all of us. Rupees 1,800 crores have been demanded as additional funding for Prasar Bharati, which is the public funded television channel. Madam, we've seen the state of public broadcasters under this country. And I have to express this. I'm going to be retiring in a couple of weeks. Madam, sometimes when we watch Sunset TV, we should calculate how many times the camera is on the chair, which is fine, how many times the camera is on the Prime Minister and the other ministers when they're sitting, and for how many minutes the camera is actually on the person who's speaking if they're from the opposition. It will give a very jarring surprise to everybody. Yes. Madam, this Prasar Bharati, for which they've demanded 1,800 crores extra, if you turn on DD News, you will see that it is a completely BJP propaganda mouthpiece.
Censorship going on.
Toxic anchors from private channels who have spent their entire career spewing communal propaganda are now being given crores worth of contracts on these television channels, Madam. And now you're coming to Parliament and asking for 1,800 crores extra for funding BJP's propaganda channel. This is extremely shameful, Madam. Therefore, Madam, when the Finance Minister answers, there is another thing that she needs to speak about. You made a supplementary demand of 6,100 crores for ex-servicemen contributory health scheme, ECHS, which pays for the healthcare of our veterans who have fought for the country. Madam, imagine this, 6,100 crores was the miscalculation, the negligent miscalculation, the budget required for ECHS. Because of this, what has happened? ECHS empaneled hospitals have not been receiving their funds. Because of this, Madam, veterans face delayed reimbursements. People who fought for this country are not getting reimbursement when they go to ECHS hospitals. Sometimes hospitals, because of pending bills that have not been paid, are denying healthcare to veterans. The same is the condition with their much touted Ayushman Bharat. We've said several times, learn from Swasthya Sathi that we've done in West Bengal, because Ayushman Bharat, they're doing the same thing. There's absolutely no money coming in, delayed reimbursements. Madam, this government is so shameless that they've imposed a tax on disability pension of armed forces personnel who got injured in the line of duty. The pension that they get, you're imposing a tax on that. Madam, therefore, in conclusion, I have 3 questions which I want to ask the Finance Minister, and I hope she addresses those in a reply. Madam, question number 1, and this is being demanded by every opposition party in the House. When will the government come clean and give accurate information to the people of India regarding the ongoing LPG crisis? And why were LPG cylinder rates hiked by 60 rupees overnight if, like the government claims, there is no LPG shortage?
Yes.
Question number 2. We have about 3 to 4 weeks before Bengal goes to polls. When will the union government commit, at least as a tokenism, to show to the people of Bengal that we will release the 2 lakh crore of dues owed to West Bengal, including 52,000 crores under Manrega, before the state elections?
As directed by the court.
They are not going to win the elections regardless in West Bengal. Mamata Banerjee is coming back for a 4th term. That is the gospel truth. But if they want to save a little bit of face after the drubbing that they're going to get in Bengal, maybe they can at least release these funds and show that they actually care for the people of Bengal beyond the token lip service that they give when they come as migratory birds. And Madam, question number 3. Election Commission is being given 7 crores for IT infrastructure. So because we're talking about the Election Commission, will this government accept the motion for the removal of the Chief Election Commissioner, which is being brought by all opposition parties in Parliament? Or will this government refuse to accept the motion, which will prove to the people that there is a tacit understanding between the BJP and Chief Election Commissioner Vanish Kumar? With this, I conclude my speech, Madam. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Bangla.